Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk. Bei mir jetzt der CEO und Präsident von Victoria Gold und er hat jetzt ziemlich viel Druck. Ich habe vorher gerade ein Interview gemacht mit Sean Roosen und er sagt, diese Company ist eine Perle, die man sich anschauen muss und deswegen bin ich jetzt froh, dass der John McConnell, CEO und Präsident von Victoria, Zeit hat für mich. John, thank you to have time, and I said in my German introduction, Sean Roosen, the CEO of Osisko Gold Royalty, brings a little bit pressure on you. Then he says Victoria Gold is one of his pearls in his streaming portfolio. So why is Sean so happy about your company and the investment in you?
I think because we're going to make him a lot of money.
I hope, but when I look a little bit on the share price, I'm a little bit frustrating. It looks now a little bit better the last 2 weeks, but before it shows only one direction.
Yeah, no, I think since we financed in March, it's been one direction, as have many of our peers, including Osisko. But, I think we're in the show me time period. As I always say, Murphy is alive and well in the mining business, spends a lot of time north of 60. So, there's some skeptics. Can you build a mine in Canada's north? Number one. Number two, does heap leaching work in the north? And, can you get it done on time and on budget?
And so far, is running everything fine?
Yeah, construction's gone very well. We had an unusually wet spring, May and June, and we got a little bit behind, and I was probably the most concerned, but we had good weather in July, August, and September, and we're fully caught up and actually probably a month ahead of schedule right now.
Wow, that's good. Good to know. Coming to your presentation, maybe you can give us a rough overview. So it's really a rough overview. I see it on slide 3. You're in construction phase and you plan the first production in second half of 2019. And the annual production should sit on 200,000 ounces a year, but it's a big number.
Yeah, I think it's a meaningful amount of gold, 200,000, and I think the more important number is the all-in sustaining cost of less than $750 per ounce. So, margins, we use $1,250 gold as our base case. So, $750 gold means for every ounce of gold, we profit $500 US, 200,000 ounces. That means a year from now we'll be cash flowing $100 million a year, roughly.
And this with a market cap, I think your market cap is 280 or something. Is it right?
280 Canadian.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's right. Canadian US dollar is a big difference.
It's a big difference. I think the Canadian dollar is about 75 cents right now.
Yeah, but. If you really say, okay, 100 million US cash flow and you have 280 million US market cap is still really cheap. In Canadian dollars, unbelievable cheap.
That's right, yeah.
So
that's the opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. But I see a lot of opportunities in the area. And this is a little bit my problem, what I have. That so many opportunities at the moment, and I think that the markets or the people they are investing in our area, they say, okay, I don't know what must be happened that in general the resource market will kick off. Especially when you look at the resource market and say, hey, the whole resource market have only the half of market cap of Apple, so it's unbelievable. But in every Apple product, we find your product.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I think it might even be worse than that. I think
after the last correction, for sure.
If you take all the resource stocks and add up the market cap, I think it's less than the cash that Apple has.
That's possible. That's possible. I'm now on the timeline of the Eagle project, and this is also what is interesting for me, and I think a lot of people don't, or a lot of the market people are not realize. In the good old days, when I started in the resource business in the 90s, the people say, okay, it's take from the beginning, from the first grassroots exploration to the mine, 10 years. But then I look at your project when you acquired in January 2009, and I'm quite sure that at this time there will be some work on it, and it takes 10 years to the production, I must say. So I think the period to bring a company or mine into production is now much longer than the old thinking what we have 20 years ago. Is this right?
Absolutely. I think this deposit was first discovered in 1985 or 1986. Now, it went through some evolutions and some problems with the companies, but, we acquired it in 2009. And at that time, it was, and that was following the economic collapse. And, we saw that as an opportunity, and we went out and acquired a couple of companies. But then it was, an advanced exploration project. There was a resource, and there had been a PEA. So, some work was done, but still from that day till we get into production will be 10 years. And, I think that's a realistic timeline for a first world country these days. Mm-hmm. And people are kidding themselves or kidding shareholders if they say, we're going to be in production in 2022. Mm-hmm. Just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the point. I think, and this is okay. On one hand, it's good. You have higher environmental standards. You have this and that and so on. So it just brings the risk down. But in also the time frame going bigger and bigger before you can really go to production.
That's right. And, financing takes time. The markets have not been cooperative. We may have been in production a year or two earlier if we'd had favorable capital markets, but they just haven't been there for the last couple of years. And so we had to resort to what I call an alternative financing route that, involved equity, a royalty, with companies like Orion Mine Finance, Osisko, and Caterpillar. It's a little different than, what people have seen in the past. But, whether it's Pretium or Victoria or Torex, I think they've all done it a little differently, but it hasn't been the traditional debt and equity route.
Mm-hmm. So in the last 1-2 minutes, also the slides from the construction, from Caterpillar, you say the big, and also the big truck, what you ship there. It's unbelievable how much can this truck load. When I see the picture there, is unbelievable on page 12.
Yeah, well, those trucks are 150 tons. They're Caterpillar 785s. But I think for your listeners, the more important slide is the previous one, Beauty and the Beast, 2 big shovels, because those were built here in Germany.
Oh, really?
And shipped from Germany to Halifax in pieces. Each shovel was 12 transport truckloads and drove across Canada up to the Yukon and were assembled and commissioned at Eagle.
Wow. Wow, unbelievable. And what can this...
They're 50 tons per bucket.
What do you say?
50 tons per bucket.
Wow. Phew.
And so the trucks are 150 tons, so 3 bucket loads per truck.
Wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's really a beast. That must say. This is really a beast. On page 13, there are the economics, and there looks really robust, what you said before, that with the higher gold price, it's going that the post-tax IR going to the roof. And coming back then to the financing side. So that's the next slide. So you're coming up with a senior debt debt facility, and then 100% senior, and a big equity portion too. And the last, I think this big equity portion is also where Osisko royalty gold's coming in. Is this right?
Yeah. So I think Orion, they like the offtake agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They make money on buying and selling gold, so they had to put in 75 million in equity to get the offtake agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see there's a lot of other little things there, and I always say it's because Orion doesn't like people to know what the true cost of capital is, so they make it very complicated.
Okay.
Osisko, on the other hand, is very straightforward. They paid 98 million for a 5% royalty, so 0.9 to NAV, or a little over that. And to get that, they did 50 million in equity at a 30% premium to our then share price.
Yeah. And this is really the point. They are all invest with 50 cents per share, and the share price is trading at 38. So you get now a big discount compared to these companies. They invest a lot of money in your company.
Correct. And then for Caterpillar, they put up 50 million US in leasing to get the equipment order.
Mm.
We could have gone with other equipment manufacturers, but Caterpillar offered the best terms in leasing.
And then they built the beast in Germany. That's a good point. The mine life of the project, when you produce 200,000 ounces a year, and sorry, I must come back to this royalty deal with Osisko. It's only up to 75% NSR is only up to nearly 100,000 ounces. After this is going back to 3%.
Correct.
And this is not per year, that's only the first 100,000 ounces.
Correct, yeah.
So, okay, that's an easy deal. The resources itself is how big?
Well, you saw the reserve is 2.7 million ounces plus 10-year mine life. We haven't calculated a new resource in the last few years, although we've done a lot of exploration drilling. But my gut feeling is that at depth and along strike with what we've seen with exploration, this will be a plus 20-year mine life.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. I see these valuation terms also on page 18. And you say in this term your valuation is 0.44 compared to a producer that's normally is 0.7. So that's mean you have a 60% up potential to going up to this level. That sounds interesting. What can be? I know it's a stupid question, but when I ask you what can be everything going wrong that you maybe not coming up with a success, what's coming to your mind when I ask this question? I know it's a stupid question. I never should ask, but I must do it.
No, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Let's face it, we're in the mining business, and Murphy's alive and well, and we've had many examples of poorly executed projects in the business. If you flip a couple pages to, page 20, I give some examples of projects and companies that have gone right.
Mm.
Torex, Rox Gold, Pretium, TMAC, Atlantic Gold. And you see, their share price at the start of construction and when they reach commercial production, and the re-rating ranges from 38% up to 161%. So re-rating going from a developer to a producer is real, but the emphasis or onus is on Victoria and myself to make sure that we do it right, and there's no hiccups along the way. And we're 30% of the way through construction, and things are going perfectly right now. But we are in Canada's north. It gets cold in the winter. Murphy's in the mining business, so you can have some hiccups. But I think we've planned for everything very well.
This year is an unusual warm summer in Europe. Is it also an unusual warm summer in northern Canada?
Not really. I would say it's, the spring was unusually wet, a lot of precipitation, but July, August, September have been beautiful. And as I said earlier, we've not only caught up, but we're probably ahead of schedule right now.
Mm-hmm. When you come back to the financing, what you have for sure a little bit, how I can say it, secured a little bit money that you have, if something coming up, you have a little bit of buffer on it. So what do you plan in, so you can say, okay, when something is not running perfectly well, or the weather is wet in the spring, so we keep a little bit money that we can fix this problem after?
Yeah, for me, there's two things we did. One, a big risk for a single asset company is having enough working capital. If things don't go perfectly, you've still got all the costs of all your employees, so you want to have a little extra cushion on the working capital. We did that. There's sustaining capital right from day one, and so we actually raised enough money to cover the first 18 months of sustaining capital as well. So we've got a cushion there. We've got to manage it and be careful with it. We can draw it down, but we're pretty comfortable.
It's also nice to see you at the big shareholder list to be in. That's very, very important, I think, also for the people.
Yeah, no, and I think the other difference, Joe, is, this is not a company we IPO'd. So I've purchased all my shares in the market along with everybody else. So is our chairman, Sean Harvey. And you can see I own over 5 million shares. And, I didn't give myself a whole bunch of penny stock to start the company. Everything I've bought in the market, my average cost is probably around 35 cents.
So we can invest in nearly the same price than you.
Correct.
But we have all the advantages what you work in the last few years.
Well, I think we've totally de-risked the project, and I think the fact that Orion and Osisko are pretty tough guys when they do their due diligence. So they've done the due diligence for shareholders, and shareholders should take good comfort in that. And I think the fact that a company with a $250 million market cap raised $500 million speaks to the quality of the asset.
Absolutely, I think this is a very good end point that what you say, that especially also Osisko and Orion do the work for us and prove up the concept of the project and also the concept of the company. John, thank you for your time. Thank you for this first introduction to your company. It's really interesting, and hopefully, I hope we get a little bit luck with the gold price too. Then I think we are all in good shape the next year. Thank you for the Interview. Ja, das war jetzt ein Interview von Victoria Gold, und ich habe es ihm vorher schon gesagt, der Sean hat natürlich sehr viel Druck auf ihm aufgebaut, weil er natürlich gesagt hat, es ist eines seiner Perlen. Interessant ist, was eben der John auch gesagt hat, er hat alle seine Aktien im Markt gekauft, hat jetzt ungefähr einen Einstand von 35 Cent, also ungefähr dort, wo der Aktienkurs steht. Nur haben wir natürlich jetzt den Vorteil, dass die Company durchfinanziert ist, dass wir jetzt quasi warten darauf, dass jetzt der Mehrwert kommt, und er hat es auch sehr schön in der Slide 20 gezeigt, wie stark dass da die Aktien dementsprechend zwischen Starter Construction und Commercial Production angestiegen ist. Ganz spannend. 2,7 Millionen Ressourcen, 200.000 Unzen wollen sie im Jahr produzieren. Hier sind nochmal die Deals von Orion und von Osisko. Straightforward, da gibt es nicht wirklich was zu sagen. Und natürlich die IRR von der Company oder von dem Projekt ist extrem hoch. Und auch hier, wenn man sich die Teile anschaut, das sind schon unglaublich. 50 Tonnen kann so ein Kipper heben, also ein Bagger heben, und der Kipper hat 150 Tonnen, was er reinbringt. Unglaublich. Ja, schöne Bilder von dem. Ja, schauen wir mit ein bisschen Glück, wenn der Goldpreis auch abgeht, haben wir da wirklich eine gute Chance dabei, richtig Geld zu verdienen. Das war's von Victoria Gold, Oktober 2018. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.